clock starts ticking the moment they are called.
Pretty safe bet where these 2 bullet strikes are is where he was when he was shot.
Please don't do this to me.
That's definitely a nice piece of evidence.
There's a very good likelihood she knows who did this.
Their chance of solving a murder is cut in half.
Your car was seen leaving the scene.
If they don't get a lead.
There's not a whole lot here.
Within the first 48 hours.
They had the place surrounded. They had nobody coming out of it.
Follow John Walters in the Silver Blazer. You ready? Let's do it.
South Phoenix, 5:30 a.m. Gunfire rips through the front door of an apartment. A car speeds away.
911.
So right now, they claimed that the drive-by, 2 people hit. 1 hit the neck and 1 hit the leg.
2 people were hit?
I'm 6 months pregnant. I'm hitting my leg. My brother, he got shot in his neck.
Okay, ma'am. How long ago was it?
And just now, it just happened. A white Pontiac, 4 doors.
I truly believe that you have to have police out here. We are in between the good people and the bad people.
Detective Tom Colessa will be the lead investigator.
I believe in what I do. I really believe that when I do it, I gotta give it everything I can, especially work in homicide.
18-year-old Zachary Hollenquist died at the hospital. His pregnant sister, Sarlitha, survived the wound to her leg.
Witness 4. Her story, she told us, is that the ex-girlfriend, Chocolate, was here 2 hours prior to the shooting. Chocolate and Zachary were in a verbal and physical fight about another female that Zachary is seeing. Chocolate leaves. 2 hours later, someone shows up, shoots 5 shots through the door, and she never saw the shooter.
When the phone rings, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a murder. So my adrenaline's going from that point on, because now it's become a chase. You not only have to outsmart that person to arrest him, but you fight the clock, too.
Zach had been dating a stripper known as Chocolate for 3 months.
Chocolate is nowhere to be found. A couple witnesses do describe Chocolate's vehicle. One of the witnesses says that is Chocolate's vehicle is the suspect vehicle. So we need to find Chocolate.
I got Chocolate on the 21 here.
Hold on. Chocolate, Tom Colessa, Phoenix Police, how are you? I need to talk to you about what happened out here tonight. Where can I come to talk to you at? Okay, what's your name? What's your full name?
Chocolate, whose real name is Trisha Blackman, lives in the neighboring city of Tempe.
I can drive up to Tempe. Chocolate is our biggest investigative lead. Now, whether she's a suspect or not, we don't know. My biggest goal is to put my hands on her. She hung up. She's screaming and yelling. And yeah, I'd like Tempe to go out there right now, and if she's there, snatch her up.
Her name is Trisha Blackman.
Detective Randy Hudson will be Colessa's partner on the case.
And she drives a white 1999 Pontiac Sunbird.
I want to leave now with Randy. Before I leave, I just want to take a real quick peek at what's up there.
What it looks like. Like it's under 6 holes.
Would you look for shoe prints and stuff, especially going that way? Going off that way, because cops and fire would have came up this way. There's a very good chance bad guy may have come this way too, but more like that way. We're going to go after Chocolate's apartment, and we're going to take her to our police station. Also, one of the purpose for going out here quickly too is her vehicle. I want her vehicle. I want the evidence that's inside of it. She's extremely hysterical right now. She knows her boyfriend is deceased. My gut's basically saying that there's a very good likelihood she knows who did this. That's why they say the first 48 hours are the most crucial. If you go hard for it, you can. It'll help you. You're hitting these people, quicker than they can think.
While Chocolate has agreed to meet them, Colessa and Hudson are wary of an ambush.
Being a police officer is dangerous. 25 years I've been on, people lose respect, becoming more violent towards police. You need to watch your stuff. Trisha. Tom Colessa. Can I just make sure there's no one else here?
On the other side of Phoenix, the pre-dawn peace of another apartment complex is broken by deadly gunfire.
911, what is your emergency?
My husband died. Okay, what's your address? No, I can't speak. I'm afraid he's gonna come back.
That's okay, take a deep breath. We need to know where you're at so we can get some officers out there, okay?
It was a lot of blood. I don't know if he's alive.
Okay, can you see him breathing at all?
Not anymore.
Last name is LeSueur. First name is James.
The victim is 23-year-old James LeSueur, who lived in this apartment with 2 roommates. He had recently separated from his girlfriend, the mother of his 2-year-old daughter.
Our next witness, first name is Brandon. He also lives here at 2431, apartment number 4. He called 911 and told him that his roommate had been shot by 3 Hispanic males with an assault rifle.
Lead investigator Mike Polk has been a detective for a dozen years.
It's important when you get a lead to run with it. Because the sooner you can get on something, and the sooner you can get to a suspect, the better chance you have of solving the case.
Detective Cliff Jewell, Polk's partner, will process the crime scene.
The Phoenix Police Department doesn't have a separate crime scene investigations unit, and that's what I like. I like the forensic end of the investigation. I like going to the crime scene and trying to figure out what happened just based on what the scene tells me. Lots of black clothing. Looks like a chainmail hood. Scales here for measuring drugs. Yeah, I look like gummy bears, but I don't know, the way kids do ecstasy these days, they're little green things that look like an E. Well, there's a lot of witchcraft type books. Spellcraft for men.
Even though the victim's roommate, Brandon, was the one who called 911, Polk and Jewell think he could be involved.
My name is Mike Polk, and I'm a detective, okay? We're going to talk to you, but we're going to do it downtown.
Brandon told arriving officers James was killed in the living room.
The story that the officers got as far as how the where in the house it took place, it didn't add up with what they saw when they went into the house. It looked to them like the shooting took place in a different room. So that's an inconsistency that I'm going to take into consideration when I interview this guy. And right off the bat, that tells you that, you know, he could be involved.
I woke up and there was a gun in my face. The guy told me to be quiet, he wouldn't kill me.
Polk and Sergeant Mike Smallman think Brandon may be lying to cover up a possible drug connection.
Everybody has secrets that they don't want to share, and if their secrets involve illegal activity, the chances of them being completely honest are very slim.
Polk needs to dig the truth out of Brandon.
Do you guys do any drugs?
No.
Nothing at all?
Detectives Tom Colessa and Randy Hudson are investigating the murder of 18-year-old Zachary Hollenquest. Colessa and Hudson have tracked down Zachary's girlfriend, Chocolate, a stripper whose real name is Trisha Blackman. They are certain she knows who killed her boyfriend.
Can I just make sure there's no one else here? What I need to do, Trisha, is I need to talk to you about what happened with your boyfriend hitting you and stuff like that. So what I need to do is I need you to come down to our police station with us. We'll just talk about what happened.
It turns out Chocolate has an outstanding arrest warrant for a traffic violation.
So what's gonna happen? I have to go to jail now.
What's going to happen now is you're going to come down to the police station with me. You and I will talk about what happened as far as the argument or him hitting you, you know, whatever it was. And I'm going to try and figure out what happened to Zachary.
Colessa has almost no information to go on and no witnesses who saw the shooter.
Not only do we have us out here, we have 3 other detectives out here right now, and they're talking to other people. They're talking to people that were in the apartment at the time. Now, I'll tell them, I've already talked to so-and-so. I've already talked to Bill and Fred and John and Joe. They're talking to people that were outside walking the dog at the time. They're talking to some very important people who were outside the apartment who saw what happened. When Chocolate's constructing a lie in her mind, it now screwed up her lie.
Oh my God. No, please don't do this to me.
On a hunch, Kalesa decides to check the dumpster in front of Chocolate's apartment.
Is that a scope, Randy? Is that a gun scope? Why would someone throw a gun scope away?
Fish it out. We don't know what was used.
No, we don't. That's pretty bizarre. There's a gun scope in there. You got them $200 shoes on. Son of a gun. Look at that.
Maybe get another picture?
Yeah. She's got some explaining to do. In a situation like this, where you have something in a trash can, the junior guy will usually go in the trash can. Unluckily for Randy, he happened to pick me as a partner, and I got like about a couple months on him. So a couple months does make a difference when you're going in the trash can.
And I can get really dirty and wrinkled and messed up in here and still look better dressed than him.
What's their model? Is it a Pontiac Sunfire? Hi, how are you? Watch your curb. We're with the Phoenix Police Department. Can I have a piece of cards? Thank you. We also have a situation last night where we're shot. And right now she's in the car. We are going to take the car. We are seizing the car. How did you wind up with your daughter's car?
Because my other daughter brought it over and told me to
I got you. Maybe from this angle, Mike, get photos of these windows, showing you wiped off. What we're going to do is pull everything outside, and then I want to collect this blood out here. It looks like somebody wiped this thing down. Could be the blood that Trisha and Zachary were involved in, or it could be blood from something else. When you do shoot a gun, gunshot residue gets on your hands, etc., everything else, and I want to see if it's inside the vehicle.
Sergeant Jack Miller is supervising the crime scene.
Sergeant Miller. Hey, boss, Kalesa.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's the situation. Mom has shown up in the car. Okay, so we have a car sitting out here. We have a suspect sitting out here. We have a mom sitting out here. We got the sitting out here. If this is the way, he's got a scope on it. Could you have Daryl look over that wall to see if that guy may have been standing over the wall?
Somebody could have been on the other side of that wall or back there.
We'll take a look over there, and then once we get to the point where we laser it,
there are no casings anywhere near the wall. And Detective Daryl Branch is finding the bullets were fired by someone close to the door.
the door's closed. These are holes this way. And obviously the gun had to be moved.
Odds are the murder weapon was a revolver.
A revolver will keep the casings inside the weapon, whereas semi-automatic, once you shoot, the casing is ejected from the weapon and normally lands somewhere around the shooting.
I didn't see any casings.
Okay, over the wall, nothing there, nothing like that.
It doesn't seem the rifle was the murder weapon. Kalesa needs Chocolate to tell him what really happened.
There's two big hurdles I need to overcome now. I have to advise of her rights. And once I advise her of her rights, she may say I want an attorney once the interview's over. If she agrees to talk to me, then my second biggest hurdle is who is that shooter to her? If the shooter's not her, is it her brother? Is it her father? Is it a friend? If it's a family member, she's probably not going to give him up. You had the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law.
In the murder of James LeSueur, Detective Mike Polk suspects the victim's roommate, Brandon, may be lying about what happened in their apartment. At the scene, Polk's partner, Detective Cliff Jewell, has found clues the killing may be drug-related.
Little green things that look like an E.
At homicide, Brandon insists he has no idea who the killers were.
You saw two people?
Yes, one on each side, Judge.
So how many total people were in your house?
3.
The one that was with you?
And then the other 2.
Okay. Could you hear what they were saying to James?
Just shut up, something in Spanish to each other, and then, you know, we don't want to kill you, but we will.
They were saying that to James?
Yeah.
The blood spatter's going to be all the way out here, but see the pattern is kind of that knobby. You know, he stepped right here in the blood, and then they go that way. Yeah, looks like we got one going north and 2 going south.
At the victim's apartment, Cliff Jewell begins to piece together how the murder happened.
As you go down to the bedroom, obviously an altercation took place in here. Clearly someone kicked this door and encountered him on the bed. There was a struggle and a fight. The victim was injured. The roommate says when they passed his door, they were carrying him and he was screaming. And as he's going, he's kind of slinging a little bit of blood from the injuries that he had to his head. And the majority of the blood is right here at the entryway. So pretty safe bet where these 2 bullet strikes are is where he was when he was shot.
5 hours in, Jewell finds the evidence does match Brandon's story.
We had the initial information about the 3 Hispanics their way in. A witness said she saw a person running north, but we have bloody footprints that go south, and there are 2 marks on the block wall back there that indicate 2 people climbed over the wall at that location. So I'm pretty comfortable with the story about the 3 guys. It looks like everything is consistent with what the roommate was saying.
Polk and Jewell need to find out why a group of strangers would target James LeSueur.
Do you have any idea why anybody would want to come over and do this?
When we first moved in, these guys were selling drugs out of their apartment across the way.
Brandon says he and his roommates had videotaped their neighbors across the courtyard selling drugs and complained about them to the apartment manager.
And that videotape was given to the manager?
He had seen it. The videotape was still in the camera.
At the scene, only a few feet from where James died, is a video camera apparently dropped by his fleeing killers. In the murder of Zachary Hollenquist, Detective Tom Kalesa believes the shooter is the victim's girlfriend, Tricia, also known as Chocolate, or someone close to her. But he's not sure he'll get her to talk.
Here's some photos of when I was young, when I worked undercover.
Holy crap! You had hair.
Yeah, a lot of hair.
Mostly on your face, but still.
One thing that's really helped me in interviews is working undercover. Because when you work undercover, you have very, very little time to find a niche with people. You walk into an interview room and you read her real quick. And you see what she's about. You see if she's pretty mellow. You see if she's angry. And you gear your interview towards that.
I work 24/7. I swear I do. I work, and from not working, I'm sleeping. From working all day, dancing in stilettos all day, that's not fun. You know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Chocolate's version of events starts 3 hours before the murder, when Zach picked her up at work. And he had a girl with him.
He said it was his cousin. I never met her. Sherry or Cherry or something.
Sherry?
Yeah.
Zach had a rifle in the car, the one found by Kalesa in the dumpster. He wanted Chocolate to hold on to it.
Because I wasn't going to drive around in my car with that big old rifle, and I threw the towel over it. He got out, he put it in the trash can. He was pissed off from that.
Chocolate drove him home, but Zach was still angry.
He said I was disrespecting him in front of his people. He was grabbing and he was squeezing and squeezing and squeezing like straight down into where the gears are, and was bashing my head into the gears, and I was...
She got away and claimed she went home.
Okay, so 4:30 you're home. And then what?
I got in the shower, smoked a cigarette, and I got a call. And they tell me that Zachary's been shot, that his sister's been shot, and that they think I have something to do with it.
You get this entire group of lies, and you got to work your way through it. You let them go. You let them talk as much as they want about the lies.
I love Zachary, first of all. I love that boy. I would never do anything to hurt him.
The next step is you try and whittle the lies down. Your car was seen leaving the scene right after the scene. Nobody went back to kill Zach. And I'm convinced of that. But I need to know who went back to scare him. And I feel that you know more than you're telling me here, Tricia.
I don't know who went back to scare Zach.
Somebody you know, somebody you're either related to or associated with or something like that, killed Zach.
I don't know who could have, because my sister couldn't have done it, my mom, no one, but maybe...
Go ahead, do it. Maybe.
My father. Maybe it was my father. He knows. Oh.
It was your father, you think?
Chocolate now admits that after the fight, she drove to Zach's apartment with 3 people. Her father, her sister Dantaya, and her father's girlfriend, a woman she'd never met. But what happened next, she claims, was a shock.
All I could hear is yelling, like, something about my daughters. And then that's when I heard gunshots. I didn't know he had a gun.
She had a story, and you basically had to get her off that story. But then eventually the truth all came out. What's your dad's name?
Carl.
Carl what?
Lee.
Carl Lee Blackman, that's your dad? Carl Lee Blackman. She is a dancer at a nude bar. So if she comes out of the room and goes, "Hey Jerry, how you doing?" I don't want to know about it, okay? So this is Jerry. You want to put your back against this wall?
Kalesa and his partner, Randy Hudson, need to find the other people who were in the car to confirm Chocolate's story.
You and I are, with the field trip that's out there, are going to go to Sister's apartment and we will knock on the door and tell Sister to come with us. Well, let's go. We're now heading to Chocolate's sister's apartment, Dantaya, and we're going to attempt to contact Chocolate's sister. This girl right here. If you see this girl running with Randy chasing her, it's probably the right girl.
What if Randy's not chasing her?
It's probably the wrong girl, because he would chase the wrong girl. Hi! Police, could you open the door, please? Hi, Tom Pleasant, please, how are you? Is Dantaya here? Where'd she go to? You were your mom, right? Yeah, I remember you. You don't know where she went to? You mind if we take a look real quick? I see something blowing in the wind. Phoenix Police! Bathroom's clear.
Dantaya is not home.
Could you have a seat, ma'am, so I can talk to you for a minute, please? Where do you think your daughter, Dantaya, is?
I don't know.
There's no doubt in my mind that Dantaya knows who shot and killed Zachary.
Chocolate's mother says her daughters told her Carl fired the shots. But 14 hours in, Kalesa still needs to hear what happened from the people who were there.
I'm going to work my hardest to find Dantaya. Because I want to see what Dantaya... If Dantaya tells me what Tricia told me about Daddy shooting through this door, I'm going straight to San Myers to the county attorney and saying, we need to walk through a warrant for this guy. My first priority is to find his other daughter. If she gives me what I believe she's going to give me, then we sick the dogs on Carl Lee.
In the murder of James LeSueur, Detective Mike Polk has gotten a startling lead. The victim's roommate, Brandon, thinks the killers could be the neighbors who were filmed dealing drugs.
So the victim is filming drug transactions across the way?
Near where James died is a video camera.
That's a nice piece of evidence, which they dropped it trying to run.
Yes. And the videotape is in it. How about that? The video in it is priceless if he's actually got people on it. We don't have really good descriptions of the three people, but blowing up stills from the video, that's invaluable. We'll see, but it's definitely a nice piece of evidence.
No matter who is visible on the tape, the detectives need Brandon's description of James's killer.
We're going to do a computer program composite. Basically, we're going to take features like if we wanted to look at eyes. We're going to basically build the composite of the guy. It's very simple.
Go a little bit farther apart, the ends were shaved off. He had like the little patch.
Seven hours into his investigation, Mike Polk has a possible motive.
It's a lead like anything else. A lot of times when these investigations get started, you go with what you have. Maybe a day or two into the investigation, it'll change drastically and it'll put you on another track, which is more credible. That could happen here, but until that happens, I've got to explore the possibilities of this videotape. Hi, my name is Mike Polk. I'm a detective with Phoenix PD.
Yeah.
Are you the manager here?
Yes.
Polk needs to identify the suspects in the apartment across the courtyard.
Now, how long have you been a manager?
Since about January.
These guys showed you the videotape, was it?
I believe it was Brandon who showed me the videotape.
Do you know what the guys look like in number 2?
Yeah, because I'm trying to kick them out. One guy, his name is Jose. He drives a red Cadillac.
So there's Jose and who's the other?
I don't know his name. There are so many people that live there and are in or out of there all the time. I have no idea. They don't have a lease. They got grandfathered in when my brother took over the property.
We're now serving a search warrant on the apartment across the way that they were videotaping during the drug transactions.
Page findings, anybody inside?
Detectives Mike Polk and Cliff Jewell now have a possible motive in James Lesueur's murder. The killers may have been the neighbors who were videotaped dealing drugs. 9 hours into their investigation, the detectives raid the suspect's apartment.
Page findings, anybody inside?
Whoever lived here left in a hurry.
I'll do that one.
Veteran Detective Sally Dillian joins the search for evidence.
Basically, we're looking for anything that will have DNA, like the socks, underwear, anything that we can possibly get a DNA sample to try and link back to whomever was in the other apartment. I'd love to find some shell casings. I'd love to find some paperwork with names on it. We're basically going for the DNA stuff, so I'll take all of the bottles. Yeah, I got some toothbrushes down here. I am not taking the turd in the toilet, okay?
DNA on it.
You know, I'm not going there. You can collect that one. I'll put a number on it for you. Hey, Mike. The guy who lives here is supposed to have a Cadillac.
Yeah.
I've got a receipt here from Coulter Cadillac.
I'm hoping to find the name of the guy who had a receipt for this in apartment number 2. Some nice cars. Hopefully I can give the customer number and tell me who they sold that car to.
Coulter Cadillac is a dead end.
It was a cash transaction for like $50 for probably some part or something they bought, and they didn't have any name or anything listed under that, so I have to try something else. To be successful in homicide, you have to have a positive attitude. I think you have to go into every case like it's solvable. If you go in it with a negative attitude from the start, you won't solve cases.
Back at the suspect's apartment, Dillian finds what she's been looking for.
Here is a god. Here we go. Western Union. Where did he send his money? Sender is Jorge, Jorge. Looks like he sent it to Mexico.
10 hours in, the detectives finally have a name for one of the suspects, Jorge Esquer.
It's putting puzzles together. It's so much fun. It's just one little thing after another.
Tom Kalesa has determined Zachary Hollenquest may have been the victim of a father's rage. 2 hours before he was killed, Zachary allegedly assaulted his girlfriend, Trisha Blackman, a.k.a. Chocolate. Her father, Carl, came back to confront him. As his investigation enters day 2, Kalesa still doesn't know if Zach's killing was premeditated or was the unlucky result of a wild shot. He hopes the autopsy will give him some answers.
From what I know right now, the victim was shot one time in the neck. It's an entrance exit, so it went completely through it. There shouldn't be any bullet inside it.
If it would have been a half inch more towards the front, you know, where that exit is on the left, if it would have been a little bit more, he would have missed the carotid and he probably would have lived.
Gunshot wound homicide.
Gunshot wound of the neck homicide.
You got an irate person going up to a house. He's in the dark. It just doesn't seem that he would take the time to aim. It would seem like he would just blindly shoot into the door, and he just, unluckily for Zachary, got a good shot off. Everybody has a boiling point. Everybody has a level to which their pot is full. The majority of the people are able to control that level. Some people can't control that level.
Back at Homicide, Kalesa makes a crucial discovery. Chocolate's sister, Dontaya, had called Zach's family just before the murder. Passion is Dontaya's street name.
We on our mother way. Believe it.
I think Passion's mad.
They were on their way.
This conversation right here, Passion, we're on our way. They were on their way.
Yeah.
With the phone message threatening violence, Kalesa can now charge Carl Blackman with first-degree murder. With only 15 hours left in his first 48, Kalesa hopes Chocolate's cell phone records will reveal if she and Dontaya set it all up.
I don't believe Dad dropped by at 3 o'clock in the morning. Either some kind of call was made, or they maybe went straight to his house. People always minimize themselves. Even if it's just a little bit, they will minimize themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outgoing calls that her phone makes between the time she's picked up and the murder. Chocolate is not declared yet. No, there's a very good chance that Chocolate could wind up in jail here real quick.
Detectives Mike Polk and Cliff Jewell now have the video camera and tape dropped by James Lesureur's fleeing killers. They now focus on IDing the drug dealers who might have been after that tape.
The sender is Jorge. Looks like he sent it to Mexico. Now, Jorge sent it, and then Ismael received it. Salgado received it.
The search of the suspect's apartment turns up more documents. In addition to Jorge Esquer, they find another name, Luis Carlos Sanchez.
Did it go to Mexico?
The two men's links to Mexico are not good news.
We're 2.5 hours from the Mexican border. A lot of our cases deal with Mexican nationals that flee back to Mexico.
Undocumented Mexicans are almost impossible to trace.
In the city, be careful. I just want to eat. There's plenty of places they can fight without trampling my hunting grounds.
On the second day of their investigation, Polk and Jewel hope the videotape from the camera can lead them to the killers.
You do that for me? Sounds like you can stop worrying. I've taken care of everything. Take this as thanks, mercenary. You did good work. Happy to help.
Not a whole lot here. No, let's hope.
Mostly, the tape reveals the victim wanted to make stunt videos.
Oh my God.
And he fell right about there.
It shows him collapsing in the exact spot he died.
mother was out of town at the time of this. She'd already been notified by her ex-husband. She called me this morning, left a message saying that she'd like to talk to me, so we're now going to her house.
James's mother is still reeling from the death of her son.
Okay. Do you have any idea at all why anybody would want to kill James?
Last Sunday, I was talking with James at his apartment, and the manager came up, and he said, James, I just wanted to let you know I evicted those people, and they won't bother you anymore. Thing I can think of. I didn't at the time ask James what it was about. He was playing with his daughter.
Okay. When he said those people, is he referring to the people number 2?
I believe so.
Dealing with the families, a lot of times, that's the tough part. With the mother who's lost her daughter or their son. You just got to remember that you're doing a job and somebody is left to try to bring justice to them. I guess it's that part that keeps you going. I'm certainly going to do everything I can to find these people. Even though it doesn't seem like we have a whole lot to go on now, I'm always confident. I go in every case that I have with the confidence that I'm going to solve it. The fact that there's multiple suspects, it seems to me like we have more success with those than if there was just one suspect, because they talk and they the non-shooters maybe will talk about what happened, and then or they can get arrested. It's just hard to say how those things work out.
After 2 days of investigation, Mike Polk has little more than 2 names that may be impossible to trace. In their first 48 hours, detectives Mike Polk and Cliff Jewell ruled out the victim's roommate as a suspect, determined the killers may have been neighbors who wanted a videotape of them dealing drugs, and found clues the suspects are undocumented Mexicans. In the following days, Polk works every possible lead to track down his suspects.
The suspects were 3 Hispanic males, probably Mexican nationals. Our numbers are on there, and you give me a call, I'll come out. If it looks good, they'll get hold of me, I'll come out, anytime at night.
This part would only fit a 92 to a 95 Eldorado or Seville.
Some cases have like a snowball effect, the more you work them, the closer you'll get to somebody. Yeah, I need the MIS check on this plate, and then I need a water billing on this address. And that's why it's important to work these cases as hard as you can initially until it goes cold.
It's been 34 hours since 18-year-old Zachary Hollenquest was gunned down. Girlfriend Trisha Blackman, also known as Chocolate, says she was shocked when her father opened fire. Tom Colessa needs to find Chocolate's father, Carl Blackman, and her sister, Dontaya.
D-A-W-N-T-A-Y.
Carl Blackman has an extensive rap sheet, including armed robbery and an assault on a police officer.
They went down to the apartments in Alta Vista. Dad walked up to the front door of Zachary's apartment and shot 5 or 6 times through the front door.
Colessa gets the SWAT team to track down the suspect and his daughter, Dontaya.
But just, be careful on this because Dad obviously has an extremely bad temper. He did this because the guy hit his daughter.
Hello. How are you? Can you come outside and talk to me?
Where's your ex-husband?
Dante is with him.
She's with him right now. Do you know where they're at?
My other daughter's upstairs on the phone.
Which daughter's that? Trisha's upstairs. Hi, Trisha. How are you? If you had to guess where your dad and your sister were, where do you think they'd be?
I don't know. I would say somewhere in Phoenix, probably.
Would your dad be at Grandma or Grandpa's house? Are they still alive? His parents? You don't know him? If you saw your father, are you going to call us and tell us where he's at? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
As the first 48 begins to wind down, Kalesa goes back to Chocolate's cell phone to see if any of the numbers can lead him to Carl Blackman.
You see, this one's from Passion. Passion and her dad are somewhere together. Where, I don't know. He also has a lot of ties here. See, that's the thing that's going to screw him up, is he has a lot of ties in Phoenix. His family's here, he's born and raised here, he spent his whole life here. Even if you're running, it's hard to get rid of all that. Like the old saying goes, you can run, but you can't hide.
Phoenix PD's search for Carl Blackman goes well into the night. But he is nowhere to be found. In the first 48 hours, Detective Tom Kalesa determined that the murder of Zachary Hollenquist was a result of a lover's quarrel, tracked down the girlfriend, Chocolate, got her to admit her father had been the shooter, and began a manhunt for Carl Blackman. 2 days later, officers spot Blackman's car.
They're stopping him right now.
The driver is his girlfriend, who was allegedly with him when he went to Zach's apartment. She says Carl was at home the night of the murder, until his daughters came to get him.
The two females came over here, picked up her and Carl. They told Carl about Zachary beating up Trisha, and Carl got mad, said, "I wish we had a gun." And Taya says, "Don't worry, we have a gun." And the four of them went over there, and as she was getting out of the car, and the two girls were getting out of the car, Carl was already out of the car and was already shooting.
Whatever you say.
I hate to cut our
And she gives up
conversation
his
short,
hiding place,
Socrates,
a
but
trailer in his mother's
you've
backyard.
talked enough for
See
the
the trailer
both
back
of
there?
us.
That's where
We
he's in the
must
trailer.
find another
between the
use
house
for
and
that
the
mouth
shed
of yours.
Speak to him long enough, and you may find the smallest hint of knowledge veiled deep behind
Follow
his
John Walters and Silver Blaze. You ready? Let's do it.
enthusiastic advances.
Plan right now, what we're doing is we
Compliment and an
put
insult in
15
the
guys
same
out here. We're gonna
sentence.
send two
It
crews out, a crew to the back, a crew to the front.
You've
Randy and I will be
arrived
going
at
with
the
the back
perfect
room.
time.
We're gonna be the
I have
ones that
a
are trying to
friend,
talk our way in
Sophanis,
there.
who wants to become an Athenian
I'm feeling nervous
citizen,
right now.
but he needs a bit
I
of
just don't want to
help.
make it hurt.
Your
There's a lot of young officers out here. It's always unexpected. You
can't
never
wait
know.
to hear
There's a
what
very good
my
chance he's got a gun.
Any misdeals you
And
do
he
read,
obviously
but
is
you're
willing to
my
use it.
favorite. All you need to do is sign my friend's name on a little list.
There has to be a reason Sophanis can't sign the list himself.
Well, he would, but he isn't nearly as
Close the door.
able
Relax,
as
relax.
you
I'm
are.
sure. Relax. You'll be okay.
Meaning
You'll be
you
okay.
have skills he
Just
doesn't
relax.
possess. He'd fail at
Relax.
driving his own.
He's sleepy sick.
Is he asleep? Okay, just relax. Just relax. It's fine. He's okay. He's okay. It's over. It's over.
Why not? Surely he's a citizen somewhere else already.
Everyone wants to be an Athenian citizen, even if they don't say so. Sophanis has a mind for politics, but
Hey,
can
boss,
only
Melissa, how are you?
participate as a citizen.
Carl Lee is in custody. He is heading to 620. I
I
need to
didn't
talk to him,
realize
so
you had the
keep
list of
yourself going here.
mercenaries he favored.
Kalesa now needs to get Blackman to reveal what roles his daughters may have played in the murder.
Although, if you ask nicely,
You can hang here if you want.
happily let
Just
you
if you
be
see him jump on me, you might want to run. You understand what's happening right now? You're under arrest for first-degree murder.
This sounds simple.
You are going to jail today
Now
for
tell me
murder.
why it isn't.
There's this small matter that you'll have to enter the metro where
What?
you're not allowed, and forge his name well enough, of course.
So he's trying to become a citizen.
Things can get out of
illegally.
hand because of the
You should
feelings
have led
that
with
parents have for their children.
I'll try
This
to
appears to be
remember
a
that the
situation
next time.
where a young girl was
The
hurt,
building you're
the
looking
father
for
got
is near the Agora.
it got out of hand.
Distance.
Not only do you destroy the life of the person that you kill, not only do you destroy the family of that person, but you destroy your own family.
One bad person, and that brought another to mind.
And another. Did you what you're supposed to do, or did you just miss me?
This sounds simple. Now tell me what...
There's this small matter that you'll have to...
So he's trying...
I'll try.
Homicide detectives. The clock starts ticking the moment they are called.
Someone was shot in the front seat of that car.
2 people shot in the back of the head. First thing that comes to your mind is execution.
He went to make a delivery and they ripped him.
Heard any gunshots? Their chance of solving a murder is cut in half.
Lonnie may be totally innocent.
If they don't get a lead.
He may have been at home watching Shrek.
Within the first 48 hours.
We ready? Yes, sir.
Did you point the gun at her? Did you shoot her?
A dry, still night in Phoenix. A woman driving through a residential neighborhood discovers a car wreck.
You're 911. What is your emergency? There's an accident. There's like a fire. There's a car cut into a pole. 47th Avenue at a Coleman. Anyone hurt? Hold on. This guy just walked up to my car. He's all bleeding. But he was trying to get in my car. He was back. What?
The responding fire units pull 2 bodies from the car. Both victims have gunshots to the head. The female 911 caller is nowhere to be found.
When you get the call, I mean, your mind just starts going. And you just put your mind to business.
Detective Tom Kalesa, a 25-year veteran, will lead the investigation.
Patrol officers got a call of an accident at 47th Avenue in Tacoma, a traffic accident, and there were 2 people inside, 2 deceased people, a male and a female. They noticed that the people had what appeared to be gunshot wounds to them.
Dawn breaks over the scene as Kalesa arrives.
Thank you very much, sir. Hey, Bill. How far are we?
Looks like female. Arm gone, basically. The guy, entrance here, just brain coming out.
Would it have been 1 shot for 2 people, or each? Do you think they each got their own?
They each had their own shot at least. I would say at least 2 shots. The guy had one directly, and he's got a large hole.
When I first get to a homicide, you think like, what was this person like? What was their life like? It ended this way, and why did it end this way? And a lot of things go through your head. We have something happen down here, which is about a block from where the car rested. Mailbox, the car hit the speed limit sign, and it veers off down the road and hits a pole.
You got a shotgun shell in the backseat.
Do it?
Yep.
Why would someone shoot the driver of a car that's driving down the street when they're in the car? It's odd. A shotgun makes a lot of noise. And for a shotgun to go off 3 times in a car, that's got to be deafening.
90 minutes into the investigation,
Joseph Pedrosa.
Detective Daryl Branch identifies the male victim as 23-year-old Joseph Pedrosa.
Maria.
The female victim is Joseph's girlfriend, 23-year-old Frances Tapia. Close friends since childhood, Joseph and Frances began dating just months ago.
There's 2 scenarios that I'm thinking of right now. Either this is the guy that they knew who's driving along with them. The other scenario is that they sort of tried carjacking him. Things got out of hand and they shot him.
I would surmise maybe they shot him first. And then she's freaking out, and he finally does her.
Kalesa finds a neighbor who saw a young man walking away from the crash.
I can see that the guy that got out of the car, you were right there. I can see the form of this one. 17, 20, give and take, unfortunately, or something like that.
The young man then flagged down a passing car.
A car very slowly went past the burning vehicle, a sedan, stopped over here, and he said a couple of words to them, and the only thing I could pick up was, could you give me a ride?
The neighbor's account may help to explain the 911 caller's disappearance.
Once we got through all this. The guy just walked up to my car, he's all bleeding, but he was trying to get in my car, he was back. What?
I mean, because I'm worried that she could be a victim.
Well, I am too.
That was the end of the phone call. We tried calling her back, and it's dead. I mean, there's no answer.
Yeah, so
We're worried about could she have been carjacked from this scene.
As precious time slips away, Kalesa needs to find the missing 911 caller.
We do have a very violent person out there right now, and we need to find that woman.
Over 2,000 miles away, in Detroit, Michigan, yet another murder mystery is unfolding. At 8 a.m., neighbors report a suspicious brand-new Cadillac Escalade SUV left on a dead-end street. When a patrol unit responds, they discover a body in the back seat.
Come on, don't rain. I can't get wet. Because I'm going to get sick. I'm already sick.
Sergeant Joanne Kinney heads out to investigate Motor City's latest homicide.
We've got a dead man in a black Escalade parked on McCullen and Edgewood. His body is supposed to be still inside of the vehicle.
Kinney, 17 years of homicide under her belt, has put away hundreds of murderers.
This must be a... Okay, what we got?
Got a guy in the vehicle, face down in the back seat.
Gunshot wound?
He's dead, yeah.
We don't know who he is, right?
No.
We've got blood leakage here.
I see you got a shell case in here.
Oh, okay. That looks like someone was shot in the front seat of that car. We have blood splatter in the front seat, giving us indication that he was shot while getting into the driver's seat of the vehicle.
He's bleeding through. He's coming through here. Blood through the bottom. I think it's been here for a little while. Just because the blood has seeped through, I believe it's been here for some time. We're going to try to talk to some witnesses. As you can see, some houses along here. Someone may have seen something. About what time when you noticed the truck? Heard any gunshots? No?
Based on neighbors' accounts, the detectives believe the victim was killed elsewhere and dumped at this location.
This is what I believe happened. I believe that the person was in the car with him. He was shot inside of that vehicle. They took him and threw him in the back seat, drove the vehicle, and dumped it at that location where we found it. I'm not taking the body out of the car. I want to have the whole vehicle towed to the morgue because we don't want to lose any evidence.
2.5 hours into the first 48, Kinney's best chance of solving the case lies with the evidence inside the Cadillac.
That's my purpose of taking the vehicle to the morgue so that we can take the body out and maybe we can see what went on inside of that vehicle. Every bit of evidence that we have is important right now, and that's going to help us solve the case.
Their Bernaise sauce here is the best in town. What do you do for fun?
Not this.
Oh, what am I into? Mostly progressives name your price tool. Helps people find coverage options based on their budget. Flo has it, I want it, it's all fine. And she's right there.
Yeah, she's my ride. Stinks. He has pics of you on his phone.
Very tasteful.
Right now, get $3,000 customer cash on a sophisticated new 2019 Highlander. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places.
Huge mistake. Juice Mobile 1 synthetic instead. It protects engines better than conventional motor oil.
Really?
Seriously. It keeps engines in excellent condition for over 250,000 miles.
You expect me to believe a paid spokesman?
How about an unpaid spokesman?
I'm not getting paid for this.
You are.
Get 250,000 miles of protection. Upgrade to Mobile 1.
Mom, I'm getting a little too old for notes in my lunchbox.
See what else I put in there?
Little bites!
Intamin's Little Bites muffins, made with real ingredients, are always baked moist and delicious.
Bye, Mommy, I love you!
Intamin's Little Bites.
In Phoenix, Detective Tom Kalesa is investigating a double murder. Joseph Pedroza and his girlfriend Frances Tapia were found shot to death in their car late last night. Now, as the desert sun begins to heat up, Phoenix PD rushes to locate a third potential victim, the 911 caller who's disappeared. killer may have been injured in the crash.
We have witnesses who say that somebody from that car walked off this way, and we do have blood in the middle of the street. Keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully, it's gonna be bad guy's blood.
We don't see any of this blood over there.
No.
I mean, it's all in this area.
Biggest thing the heat does to a scene, it does things to your biological evidence.
That's it.
The blood dries faster and it starts to bake, basically. If the deceased person is still at the scene and it's 104 degrees, they can decompose in 8 hours out in that heat and sun.
9 hours in,
I'm closer.
a patrol unit finally finds the missing 911 caller.
You did, really? We're relieved because we didn't know the status of that female, so we're going to go out and interview her now.
Hi, Sherry. Nice to meet you.
Have you seen the news at all?
No.
So you don't know what happened out there, do you? There was a shooting out there. 2 people died, and they were in that car. So just if you could tell us what happened, and then we'll go from there.
I didn't see where he came from, but he started walking towards my car. He goes, "Will you give me a ride? Will you give me a ride?" And then I said no, and then I noticed like the blood on his head, and he looked really panicked. And then he went to my back door and started to like open the handle, but my doors were locked.
Was he a white guy?
Yes.
And about how old is he?
I would say 19, 20. All of a sudden he like ran, and I don't know if he like went down the street or.
I mean, did he actually then disappear into the north side of the area somewhere? She had a really close call. It's really good that she didn't take this guy out. Look what he really is.
Yeah.
He didn't involve an accident, but he killed 2 people too.
Right.
She described to the bad guy he was running northbound. It's very possible he could have carried the gun all the way to where he was going. Think of anything, give us a call, okay? You take care. It's very, very possible that gun is dumped somewhere. So we need to do an extensive search of that area to find that gun.
Back at the crime scene, Kalesa and his team reconstruct the killer's movements.
There's a good chance he came out of that passenger door right there, that back door.
A shoe-print pattern. There's one pattern that when we started watching it, and it's going eastbound, and the line basically goes out to the street. Where I've got the cones is about where he was asking for a ride.
Right in the middle of this mess, there's the blood drop right there. Yeah, all the way down to here we have blood.
There's some shoe prints in the front dirt area of this house that match shoe prints that are back at that car. There's a left foot. The next one should be here.
But more cones.
He ain't running, is he?
No, he's walking.
He's walking.
Walking very casually.
After nearly 3 hours of searching, the trail ends.
That's basically it. We think family just showed up.
Your daughter's name is Frances.
Oh, it's my niece. Her name's Frances Tapia. It is her. We saw the car on TV.
There is a deceased male there and a deceased female.
Long hair, like lying, really thin,
Yes.
really petite.
Yes. There's different IDs inside the purse, and it's the name of Frances Maria Trumbull on the ID. Kind of thinking that someone inside the car did it.
Someone inside the car?
Inside the car is what we're thinking. So I need to know who they were with last night.
We haven't seen her.
Is that mom and dad?
That's mom and dad.
Francis's mother, Trina, arrives on the scene.
What do I tell you as far as how you're feeling? I don't know how you're feeling.
I don't want to hear about how I'm feeling. I want to know what happened.
We are investigating it as murder. We do have some witnesses, but the witnesses are real sketcy as to what they saw. They
Well, from the
didn't
way the
see
car
a lot.
is pointing, they came from the other side of First
yeah.
Avenue in Maui.
Do you know who's there?
People that he was going to stay with. I can show you the house. I have no problem telling you that.
The way this car is pointing right now, she says, I know where they came from.
Trina says Joseph and Francis had been struggling with addictions to methamphetamines and may have been partying the night before.
The house where the van is, that's the one where he was supposed to stay. That's like one of his really close friends.
With the new information from Trina, Kalesa heads back to the highway where the suspect's trail ended.
We lost the shoe print because of the way the ground is, but this would be a likely path back to that house.
But Kalesa needs more evidence before he can confront whoever lives in that house.
You know, you can't just go bang in the door, because they'll say, hit the road. So you can't do that, so you have to work your way back to that house. And then once you get your information, then when they say hit the road, you say, cut that.
Have you heard? Tempur-Pedic sleep is better sleep. With innovative memory foam developed by NASA, Tempur-Pedic mattresses reduce motion transfer, which means less tossing and turning so you can sleep undisturbed through the night. But which Tempur-Pedic is right for you? Come to Denver Mattress and test for yourself. Let our expert sales staff guide you to your perfect Tempur-Pedic. And rest easy knowing it's backed by our 365-night better sleep guarantee. Shop Denver Mattress today, your Tempur-Pedic elite retailer.
My insurance rates are probably going to double.
But Dad, you've got...
Allstate. With accident forgiveness, they guarantee your rates won't go up just because of an accident.
Smart kid.
Indeed. Are you in good hands?
You found yourself a Pokemon partner.
Oh, that feels so good. What happened? I'm a world-class detective. If you want to find your pops, I'm your best bet. Let's do this!
He's barely moving.
He's on a bike. Quick, get in front of him. Stop.
Oh, no. Should have worn a helmet.
Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Your childhood bet is a Pikachu bet.
I've never been so flattered and creeped out at the same time.
Rated PG.
We still on for spelunking tomorrow?
Totally. See you then.
Bye.
Right now, qualified lessees can lease the all-new 2019 RAV4 LE for only $259 a month. Toyota, let's go places.
In Detroit, Homicide Sergeant Joanne Kinney and her squad are working the murder of an unknown man found shot to death in a Cadillac Escalade SUV. They figured out the victim was killed elsewhere and dumped where he was found. But that's all Kinney knows, as the first 48 continues to slip away.
"5 years prior to me coming on the job, I really wanted to be a doctor, but didn't have the money to go to school. So I wanted to do something that I know was going to make a difference. And I believe this is, well, I've been here 17 years, so I guess this is my, my life, my career."
The Cadillac has been towed to the medical examiner's office.
Okay, here we go.
X-ray John Adam 023.
Detective Ken Ducker runs the Cadillac's plates to help ID the victim, while Kinney examines the truck for clues to the murder. Kinney hopes the killer left his prints on the plastic when he moved Robert's body.
Okay, when was the last time she saw him?
Another member of Kinney's squad has tracked down the Cadillac's owner, who says her husband has been missing since yesterday afternoon.
And what did he have on? He said the last time they saw him, he had on a jogging suit, and he wears those gator-type gym shoes.
Robert Ira Lucas Jr.
52-year-old Robert Lucas was born and raised in Detroit. He lived with his wife of 25 years and their 18-year-old son.
You can hear something in the background, like screaming. Maybe their family's been notified. Say it again.
6 hours into the investigation, they uncover a possible motive.
Erica is talking to the wife. She said that she talked to him yesterday. He was at this car wash. He was supposed to be selling 15 pounds of weed. And he had told his wife that he was going to call her back. So,
15 pounds of weed.
Yeah.
That's what it is. He went to make a delivery and they ripped. The pieces are falling into bits, but we just don't have the full picture yet. We know we're in the right ballpark. We know that his last location was at the car wash. We're gonna run up there and see who we can talk to and find out what day, what time he was there, and who he came to see. got a new case today, dear. That car wash may be our crime scene. It may be where the shooting took place. Okay, we got a $2 car wash over there. There it is right there. Right there.
Huge mistake.
Kevin Harvick.
Choose Mobil 1 Synthetic instead. It protects engines better than conventional motor oil.
Really?
Seriously. It keeps engines in excellent condition for over 250,000 miles.
You expect me to believe a paid spokesman?
How about an unpaid spokesman?
I'm not getting paid for this.
You are.
Get 250,000 miles of protection. Upgrade to Mobil 1.
Got directions to the nightclub here. And if you get lost, just hit me on the old horn.
Tom's my best friend. Ever since he bought a new house,
It's a $10 cover? Oh, okay. See that on the website?
he's been acting more and more like his dad.
Come on, guys, jump in. The water's fine. Tom Pritchard. How we doing? Hi there, Tom Pritchard. Can we get around that y'all bit more bumpers for being the boys, please? I've been saving a lot of money with Progressive lately, so.
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your motor when you bundle with us.
In Detroit, Sergeant Joanne Kenny is investigating the murder of Robert Lucas, whose bullet-riddled body was found in his brand-new Cadillac Escalade. The last time he was seen alive, Robert had 15 pounds of marijuana and was headed to a local car wash. Kenny and her squad's next stop.
Your adrenaline starts to flow when you're on the hunt trying to find the killer, or you're trying to find some additional evidence to help you solve the case. Right there. Yeah, I drove at that location, and it doesn't appear to be any activity. So I'm gonna head back downtown. Yeah, Tom. Sergeant Kenny from Homicide, how are you?
Kenny wants to confirm drug grip was the motive.
I'm good, Joanne. How are you today?
So far, we have not found any marijuana unless there is a secret compartment in that vehicle. I need you to check for that. If you have to tear it apart, tear it apart.
That's what I like to hear.
Okay, do what you got to do.
They've asked that I search this truck for any firearms evidence or any type of money, drugs, guns that could have been involved with the scene. They've gone through the edge of the speaker, ricocheted in here, and stuck in the plastic. Approximately a 9mm. Firearms identified. Seems like a match it to a gun.
With no drugs or money found, detectives re-interview the victim's wife to find out who Robert was meeting at the car wash.
What was the time she last actually spoke with, had contact with him?
Said she talked to him yesterday about maybe 4 o'clock, and he indicated that he was at the car wash. Said they couldn't talk long because this guy named Man wanted to talk to him, but she doesn't know his name, she just knows him as Man.
They finally get a solid lead, a street name.
Allegedly the last person that saw him alive. Only thing we know that his name is Man is probably another drug dealer, and what he saw was an opportunity to take the drugs and kill him.
With 15 hours already gone, Kenny's investigation is at a standstill.
I thought we were going to be able to do a search warrant on the car wash, but we can't because we don't have enough.
Back in Phoenix, Detective Tom Kalesa is investigating the double homicide of Joseph Pedroza and his girlfriend, Frances Tapia. Kalesa now needs to backtrack the victim's last steps.
What does that seem
Fran Banger's house only a few hours before they were murdered.
That's where they started from. That's where my daughter called me from.
We know at 9 o'clock they were at Banger's house. That's where we go. Hi, Tom Kless of Phoenix Police. How you doing? Are you Banger? Well, I'm Tom. How you doing? Can we come in and talk to you? I'd rather talk to you out here. Okay. You just have a seat in the front seat. That'll work. So last night, which would have been Tuesday night, the 15th, they were at your house over here in Portland.
Earlier that night, Joseph got a call from a friend named Lonnie, who owed him money.
Okay, this kid Lonnie, you said you've met him a couple times. What's this kid like?
Lonnie Bassett is a white 16-year-old who fits the witness's description of the shooter.
Looking up Lonnie Bassett. Here we go.
The records also show that Lonnie lives in the house Francis's mother pointed out earlier, where the victims may have been before they were murdered.
He doesn't look like a killer at all. Of course, he's a 16-year-old kid. I mean, there's not many 16-year-old kids that look like killers. Even though the information we have is sketchy at this time, he's still a good investigative lead. He's someone we need to be looking at right now.
With little sleep, Kalesa and Detective Daryl Branch head back to see Sherry, the 911 caller.
She said she was basically face-to-face, just like 3 or 4 feet away from this kid. When he came up to the window and asked for a ride. So we'll see if she picks out Lonnie or not. One set of photos I want to show you. And again, just take your time, look through the photos. If you recognize someone, let me know. If you don't, let me know that too. When the witness looks at the lineup, if the witness knows who it is, and they look at that lineup, you know they recognize that person.
This guy kind of, I don't know, his eyes, but I don't remember really any, like, facial hair, and his hair seemed to be longer on top.
So you point to number 1, and I'm just going to ask you a point-blank question. Is number 1 the guy that was out there the other night?
I don't know that I can say 100%, but his eyes looked, that was the one thing that stood out to me when I was looking at him, and that's what's standing out to me in the picture on number 1.
Well, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's the middle of the night, it's dark outside. You accept that they cannot ID this person, and that's the fair way to do it. Remember, don't pick up strangers. It's frustrating, but you got to look at it objectively. Lonnie may not be the guy. Lonnie may be totally innocent. I mean, he may have been at home watching Shrek.
What do you think about doing a door knock at Lonnie's? Regardless of whether he gets picked out or not, we have to talk to him.
There comes a point in an investigation where you gotta make it or break it. You gotta hit him right between the eyes now. Because you can't keep chasing a ghost. Lonnie could not be involved. I go knock on his door, I'll find out right now whether he's involved.
Let's all experience something together. This beer, so pure you can taste it. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Beer in its organic form.
Land Rover, above and beyond.
Here's your Buick, sir. Actually, that's my Buick.
How are we gonna fit in your mom's Buick?
Easy.
I like that new Buick.
Me too.
I was actually talking about that Buick.
I knew that.
Did you?
Buick's fresh new lineup is full of surprises. Current eligible GM owners get 18% below MSRP on most 2019 Buick Encore models. That's just over $4,800 below MSRP on this 2019 Buick Encore Preferred.
investigation of Robert Lucas's murder, Homicide Sergeant Joanne Kinney and her squad have found a potential suspect who they know only as Man. Detectives now need physical evidence connecting Man to Robert's killing.
We work our best under pressure. It keeps you pushing. You want to push on. You want to continue to find the person responsible for the case. You want to close the case. Hey, how you doing? Squad 6 Sergeant Kenny. Until I get all my evidence lined up, it's a guessing game. We don't have a crystal ball, and we're only as good as the information that we get.
At Ballistics, ID Tech Christian Kerr will analyze the bullets and casings found in the Cadillac.
We have here are 2 fired expended bullets. We recovered them with Cleveland and Edgewood. They're 9mm. We also have here 2 casings covered at the exact same scene. They're also 9mm. We can't say for sure that these casings came from these bullets, but we can say that these bullets match and they came from the same gun, and these casings also came from the same gun.
Kerr will photograph the bullets and casings under a microscope and enter the information into IBIS, the Integrated Ballistics Identification System, to see if they came from a gun used in other crimes. Every firearm leaves unique markings on a bullet or casing, like fingerprints. No 2 guns are alike.
And now we'll pull up a list of possible matches. It gave me a list of 26 possible matches. It's a fair chance that we can make a match.
After comparing all 26 possibilities, no match.
That just means that we don't have something in the system now that corresponds. It doesn't mean that later on something may not come along and be paired up against it. Hi, Sergeant Kenny. We put them in the IBIS, and right now we didn't get any matches.
Okay. It's frustrating, especially if you don't have the evidence or the leads to follow through on. Right now, we're fishing.
At the crime lab, evidence tech Tom Smith dusts the Cadillac, while his colleague Mary Gross lasers the plastic sheet from the driver's seat in search of the killer's prints.
You gotta be careful, there's some blood on this. And look at this, they knotted it. So right where that knot is, there may be possibility for fingerprints.
Even though these things are touch controlled, there's really no good ridge structure I can see in this room.
This was in the back seat. The bad guy had to be sweating. I think I'd be awful nervous if I just got them trying to ram somebody up and kill them over. You're starting to see something. Aha. It's going to be awful hard. These are a lot of overlays right here.
The print quality from the plastic is poor, but Gross hopes it will be usable. Meanwhile, Smith also uncovers a print from the tailgate.
We send it to Central Photo first, and they will photograph it. Then the latent print people will get it next, and they will identify the person that left that print there.
One of these 2 prints may belong to Robert Lucas's killer. Back in Phoenix, Detective Tom Colessa may have a motive for the murder of Joseph Pedroza and Francis Tapia. The night they were killed, the victims planned to collect a debt from their 16-year-old friend, Lonnie. With time quickly slipping away, Colessa decides to risk confronting his suspect.
So we gotta make it or break it today with Lonnie. We gotta either say, yeah, he's involved, or no, he's not. If Lonnie's the guy, I mean, Lonnie's a double murder suspect. As far as anyone being capable of killing, I feel the majority of people will not kill because they can control their anger, their feelings, their passion. They're able to overcome that. But everyone has a threshold that will drive them over the edge.
Lonnie's not home.
They tell us that he occupies the downstairs portion of this house. 5 o'clock in the morning, Dad goes downstairs to get him up for work. Dad notices he's got an injury to the back of his head, which the witnesses at the scene say this guy was bleeding from the back of his head. The guy took off. This morning, Dad gets up to wake the son up for work. The son is gone. Hasn't been heard or seen from since. We are notifying our Special Assignments Unit, our SWAT team. They are very, very good at finding people. They will find Lonnie for us. He had a 12-gauge shotgun when he did this. He basically executed 2 people.
His name's Vincent.
So he is capable.
Time to get back to
Very capable. just want to let you know that in case anybody asks you that. I mean, man, we are drawing a circle here, so that's basically where we're at, boss. It looks pretty bad in the line right now. Glance through the garage, check the garbage cans inside the house.
The search of Lonnie's house goes well into the night.
You go down his room right now, and there's blood on his pillow, there's blood on his bed, there's a box of shotgun shells sitting there.
Shotgun cleaning kit. On the side, there's some shotgun shells. That was in his room. So. We've got several items inside that we're taking. The most interesting stuff that was in his bedroom. There's some bloody pillows, some pop cans throughout that may have been touched by our victims as they were over here partying with him.
In the family car, they find their biggest piece of evidence yet.
That turns out to be the shotgun, which I believe it is. That's the biggest physical evidence we have.
Model 37, feather light, 12 gauge.
It's always nice to have the gun. We rarely get it, but it's cool to have it.
My favorite mysteries return.
As the first 48 winds down, the hunt for Lonnie heats up.
I see. Sometimes blood must be shed. You were the right mysteries for the job.
Wow, fusion. The process of two things becoming one. It's like when the right renter and the perfect home are joined, becoming the best version of themselves. On Apartments.com, not only can you find a new place, but you can find new meaning.
Look, Mom! Toby's a couch.
And Toby's a couch.
Who's a good couch?
Apartments.com, change your apartment, change the world.
My insurance rates are probably going to double.
But, Dad, you've got...
Allstate. With accident forgiveness, they guarantee your rates won't go up just because of an accident.
Smart kid.
Indeed. Are you in good hands?
At Reliant, our goal is to help you manage your electricity usage. We offer the latest tools and technology that make it easy to conserve and not break the bank. Plus, we have plans that match your schedule, putting you in control. It all adds up to savings you can use. Or just hold on to. That's life. Switched on. Reliant.
In Phoenix, Detective Tom Kalesa and the SWAT team are trying to track down 16-year-old Lonnie Bassett, the prime suspect in the murders of Joseph Pedrosa and Francis Tapia. Kalesa is running out of time.
We ready?
Now that you've forged my friend's name on the citizens list, there is one more thing that needs to be done.
That's pretty close. Okay, 53rd Avenue, what?
Next time you want me to do two things,
They got him.
tell me both
Yesterday
at
you
the
just
same time.
snagged Lonnie. He's got the tennis shoes on, and when you first snagged him, he says, I'm the one you're looking for.
Lonnie's got the shotgun.
Tell me what you need.
Lonnie's full of blood.
Unfortunately, getting Sophanie's name on the list doesn't
Lonnie's,
make him a citizen.
Lonnie's running and hiding.
He also needs a witness who can
He'd have to
validate
do
his
a lot of
citizenship.
explaining
So you want me
to
to be the
vindicate
witness?
himself.
If only it were that easy. No, here's someone I have in mind. An
we found that
extremely
pattern.
handsome man by the name of Belos.
The only missing piece now is him saying, I did it, and here's why I did it. And here's how I did it.
I'll find the handsome witness.
Perfect. I knew
Hi, Tom
you'd
Kless,
be willing
Big
to
Police.
help.
How you doing?
Must be a good
In
reason
Detroit,
he can't be witnessed.
Sergeant Joanne Kinney is
Of
also
course,
rushing to
the
solve her
witness
murder.
must be an
Kinney's
appealing
only hope to
citizen,
ID
but
Robert
we
Lewis's
can't be
killer
a friend.
are two
Be
promising
careful with
prints
friends,
from the
though.
victim's Cadillac.
It's easy to lose oneself in his gaze.
I'm going to make an enlargement of
If there is more after
the print
this,
that was found
I
on the
want to know
plastic,
now.
so that I can then trace it and scan it into the APIS system.
I mean,
Look at each ridge, see what direction it takes, if it stops, if it forks. Once we get 9 points, The print is considered usable.
While Marcia McCleary works to extract a usable print from the plastic, another ID tech will see if the second print, found on the tailgate, can lead to the killer's identity.
I am comparing the ridge endings from the unknown print or the latent print to the known fingerprint of the complainant, Mr. Robert Lucas. This print does indeed match the print of the complainant here, Mr. Robert Lucas.
Meanwhile, McCleary has succeeded in tracing a print that can be entered into AFIS, the automatic fingerprint identification system.
Okay, it's on the way. And now we wait.
AFIS returns with 25 potential matches.
This is not a match. This is not a hit. This is not a hit.
Be careful not to get spotted.
I'll move on to the next print. None of the 25 candidates were a match.
Kenny is at a dead end.
Okay. Bye-bye. Work.
In the first 48, police found a body in a brand new Cadillac Escalade. ID'd the victim as 52-year-old Robert Lucas, who was on his way to a local car wash to make a drug deal. Learned the street name of the potential suspect, and processed the evidence from the car to tie him to the murder, without success.
I bought 1,000 business cards, and this is the last number, since 1987. When they're gone, I'm gone. So only got a few left, so you guys are lucky. It's frustrating, very frustrating. Eventually, someone will get locked up, and so I know about this homicide, or someone's conscience will bother them and said, I want to tell you about this homicide. So it's just a waiting game. We'll start again tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get some more leads. But we're going to solve it. It may take a little time, but we will get to the bottom of it.
Back in Phoenix, the pieces are falling into place for Detective Tom Colessa. He just needs Lonnie to talk.
Court of law is a place where a person or judge will decide whether you committed a crime. A judge is like an umpire in a baseball game. He decides whether you have acted in a right or wrong way. If you did something wrong, you may be punished. Do you understand?
If he was 18, it would be the normal rights, but juvenile Miranda rights are very protective of juveniles.
Yeah, what happened that night?
Yeah, he got in the car and everything was fine, ready to go. And we just started driving down the street. And his girlfriend was driving and he was in the passenger seat.
Lonnie claims that on the night of the murder, Joseph was high on methamphetamines and threatened in the car.
After he kept telling me, I'm going to kill you if you don't give me money, I'm going to kill you. And he grabbed something like this, and I couldn't see what it was. I got real scared, and I had been drinking that night, and I just started to panic, and I didn't know what to do. I honestly don't even remember what I was thinking. I just remember pulling the trigger and everything going just deathly quiet. And then a couple of seconds passed, and I hear like this big gust of wind, and I didn't know what to do, and I started really panicking. And I just grabbed the gun, and I just started running.
This is bothering him quite a bit. He needs to get this off his conscience. He's been wrestling with this for a while. I think part of it is drug induced, part of it was alcohol induced, and part of it is he just doesn't understand what he did.
Did you point the gun at her?
Yes, sir.
Did you shoot her?
Yes, I did, sir.
How many times did you shoot her?
Twice, sir.
Basically, he claimed he was in fear of his life. He admitted shooting Joe. He admitted shooting Joe's girlfriend twice. If the evidence was different, then Lonnie's story would be more believable, that he was in fear of his life. But Joseph didn't have a gun. It looks like Lonnie just shot these people.
In the first 48, they found 2 bodies in a crashed car, tracked down a 911 caller who came face to face with the shooter, ID'd a potential suspect, 16-year-old Lonnie Bassett, who confessed to killing his friends, Joseph Pedrosa and Francis Tucker.
3:22 a.m. Wow. Basically 48 hours. Lonnie's the same age as myself. This is hard to comprehend that a 16-year-old kid can be a double murderer. Was there anybody ever know what was going through this kid's head? I'll go home, go to sleep for about 3 or 4 hours, and come back
For homicide detectives, the clock starts ticking the moment they are called.
They tackle and get on top of him and stick it to the back of his head.
There's a bullet. What they saw is conflicting with what our prime witness has done. Now he's choosing his problem over his wife.
Their chance of solving a murder is cut in half.
I don't think you're lying to me. I know you're lying to me.
If they don't get a lead.
Police department, put him in the house.
In the first 48 hours.
Not right now.
Not be about it.
Friday the 13th, in Kansas City, Kansas. At 5 p.m., police dispatch gets a call from the city's crime rate northeast section.
911. Yeah, I'd like to report a murder. The guy in his house. Got the other guy. Stop moving. Could you see the ambulance and the police? Okay, how long ago did that happen? Get that.
It's about 5:30. We're on our way to a homicide call in the 2500 block.
Detective Greg Lawson has been on the force for 15 years, 6 of them in homicide.
I've wanted to do this since I was 5 years old. I knew I wanted to be a homicide investigator. I wanted to investigate crimes that took a little bit of finesse, a little bit of certain techniques to actually figure out who did what.
Come on, quick, about 2 minutes here. Is it more Alec?
I'm partner on the radio right now. Case manager.
Lawson's partner, Detective Mike York, is in his 13th year in the department, but this is his first in homicide.
I was getting ready for my little girl's birthday party. We're going out to eat and go see a movie, but as we were getting ready to leave out the front door, I get a page, and this is where I'm at right now.
Hey, buddy. We're going down here to look at the crime scene here, see what we have.
Basically, find your bedroom here.
It's got obvious shot looks like. Back to the clock.
Here's the
29-year-old Michael Cotton, nicknamed Baby Mike, was gunned down in his own bedroom.
You know, we're hearing that there's a struggle with witnesses. They're saying that there was something going on inside the house. We're not sure exactly who the perpetrator is at this point in time, but evidently he knows them or possibly is an invited guest. We're going to try to find that out. We have witnesses.
Lawson and York learned the victim Mike's friend, Stefan, was inside the house and saw the shooter.
Witness says that he, the victim, and an unknown male got into an argument. The fight escalated. Witness hears a gunshot. The suspect runs out the back of the residence.
They scream at one another.
Yeah, they was in a serious fight. Yeah, they were like shouting and stuff like that. They were. No, I was just. No, it wasn't a fisticuffs, man.
What happened again?
He was spot. Definitely put it out in the spot. That's what like his reach in the spot. Actually, that's what I was creeping in the back room, so he won't shoot me too. I just hopped out that damn window.
I know Michael had to have called this guy by a name, a street name.
He said his name.
Like, man, I'm gonna call him.
Yeah, that's what I said, but he said no name though.
Our suspect pulled out about to be a semi-automatic. Once he pulled out the weapon, our witness, out the back window, hears a shot as he's coming.
Detective York, police department. See or hear anything on the street?
He was coming out the house telling
What came out of the house? Rear or
I got my puppy for back.
You didn't move out yet.
What? Why? He was supposed to. I saw his car in the front of me. Is that it? He said, I'm going to be out to fight tomorrow. I said, mail's still coming here. He was so fucking sure of it, too. The hell? We got some mails. That. Don't mind. This is not ours. Frank Alvarez. Oh, wait, I should put that. I should put that. And then Carlos got some mail.
It's fine. In the Argentine section of Kansas City, a body is discovered behind a Coyote bar.
I'm being told by dispatch when I called him that the party is beaten, so appears to be beaten pretty badly.
Captain John Cosgrove, commander of homicide, knows how tough each investigation can be.
The area where it's at, Hispanic neighborhood, I'm worried about language barrier issues and people coming forward. I'm a hands-on captain. I'm not one that sits behind a desk. I love the chase. I try to become basically a third partner for him. As far as the call came in around, came in for a female.
I missed you. I love you. It's okay. It was just me for all day, basically. And I like my Mondays because I can fuck around in the kitchen and it's usually slow. But it was just like non-stop. But I will say, the light cooks leave at 3, the brunch is at 3, and the night cooks don't come until 2:30. So if there's any like dinner, from 3 to 3:30.
Blood factor signifies that he was alive.
The soup, that's what we grew it. And we got like
blood.
4 pork chops and then 2 steak chops. Walk in with brunch menus.
Right now, Dr. Hancock, who's our county coroner,
and then
we're going to check this guy and try to identify him. First thing to identify him. Robbery.
Also got on to me the other day by enabling the pantry, like the people, the person that makes the salads and stuff. Whenever she goes to the bathroom,
Just starting to give up.
calls her worker or whatever.
What's the name on that, sir?
I got it. It's cool. I didn't want to do all this shit. And I've talked to Otto about me being
Is
like
33-year-old
But
Ramon
he didn't
Martinez.
get on to me, but he like told me.
The card was issued in 2000, so we at least lived in the residence for a year, so that gives us a starting point now. You can pretty much just knock robbery out as a motive, would be an indication of struggle. You can actually see an impression of like some clothing transfer.
And then
My guess is it's a bar fight, drinking, mouthless, that's how close. Most likely, at least two of them came out of the bar together. But the suspect didn't come out with this cinder block
because as he was putting up the hot food, he was like, oh, you have the poke down there? And they're like, yeah.
Detective Wright going inside the bar down here. I'll get some more information.
Alright, start tomorrow?
experienced
me and
homicide
Ali went to just have one drink.
Wright learns from the owner of the Cairo the victim was drinking in the bar until closing time.
Because our coworker works there. So we get really good drinks. And so we had a couple happy hour drinks.
Do you remember what time he came in?
I guess a bitch.
Around 8:30 at night.
Remember who came in with?
Yes, he did walk in.
And I was like, I love my job.
Do you know the person's name?
But
I believe his name is Pedro.
The lady who owns the bar here says he was with an individual who's named Pedro. We don't know yet who Pedro is, but we're going to be looking into it.
And I'm tomorrow.
Which glasses?
Probably the same as the suspect, because usually the last people that are victims with will be the suspect.
Wright also discovers the victim and Pedro were co-workers.
Did he ever tell you where he worked?
Yes.
Where?
Papito.
That's the car lot down the street. Papito's is the car lot right next door. He recently been indicted for drugs.
The suspect's employer is an alleged drug lord who runs a used car business next door. Cosgrove needs to find him to get a read on the suspect's whereabouts.
That adds now a negative twist to this whole thing. Drug-related and stuff. The likelihood of these individuals talking
There's no way.
about the country, and it'll be difficult then.
But even still.
Way down to the front.
As they leave
Fucking
the crime scene,
$307
Cosgrove
for just
spots
electricity?
Papito.
There's no fucking way. There's something.
Papito? Yeah. Okay, we have an individual who got killed behind this bar last night. You think that he's an employee of yours?
What the fuck is wrong?
What is it? What guy is it? How do you know he's not your employee? You
Look at
said
that.
no. How do you know if he's your employee? He doesn't work for you? You don't know him?
I know him.
Oh, you didn't know him? Oh, very beginning he was lying to us quite a bit.
I don't know nothing about nothing.
Papito is Cosgrove's best lead to finding his suspect, Pedro.
He knows more. We know he knows more. But right now, Pedro's our link that we need. It may have a connection with this Pedro as a suspect. We have to quickly act, locate Pedro.
Last night.
In Kansas City, Kansas, detectives Greg Lawson and Mike York have found a crucial witness in the murder of Michael Cotton, a.k.a. Baby Mike. But Stefan claims he can't ID his friend's killer. The neighbors say he knows more than he's letting on.
He knows.
Stefan is reluctant about identifying who's responsible, and that could be throughout retaliation, cooperating with the police.
Well, we just need to ask him, is there anybody else there that you saw? He seems straight. I just have one hard to believe, man. He's not gonna know the guy's name, man. He's fighting his best friend.
Put dude in a conference room and hook on him together, then anybody who even remotely suspect may be not being completely honest with us. We usually gotta try to double team them. During this interview, it is very, very important to get every detail we can. If we don't ask the right questions, our investigation may suffer.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, when the car pulled up, it was just me, Baby Mike, and the dude came in.
Yeah, did you look outside and see who else was in the car?
It was like 3 people in the car. No, the dude was the passenger, though.
You've never seen these guys before. The guy? If you know this guy, I'd rather you tell me, Detective Lawson, I don't want to tell you who this guy is. I'm scared, I don't want to tell you, but don't lie to me.
Why you killed my boy, man? I want the dude locked up, too.
I know this is your friend, I know your feelings are hurt about this, but I'm just telling you, these folks up here at the crime scene are saying, man, you know, dude knows who did this. He is consistent about how well he knows this guy. So our main objective is to keep hammering on that specific point. Who is the person inside that house? I'm just saying, you know who he is, all right? It would be very, very natural for you to be scared. Okay, well then I can appreciate that, and I'm not mad at you for it. But what I'm saying is let's go and let's get to who this guy is. You've already shown a little bit of reluctancy here about, you know, telling us who he is. And scared's fine.
No, it's not. It is, because I want to figure out what the fuck's wrong with this. I've never seen this.
You are in danger. You're absolutely right.
And it's not just because you didn't pay
on the street. You're not going to be in danger after getting locked up.
Power supply adjustment for summer.
After 3 hours of questioning, Stefan finally breaks.
That's fucking ridiculous. And the thing is we don't leave the AC on.
Teeth.
Like, we turn it off whenever we leave.
And
That
why do they
can't
call
be
it
right.
teeth?
I just don't
Because he
understand.
has some big ass teeth.
As per usual. Also,
Buck teeth.
minibar service. I was like joking with the new guy. I was like,
Yeah, only the name of
like,
Keith. And
the other
it's
girl,
pretty apparent
let
now
me
that we've
know
talked to Stefan and Brett
last
to
night
tell you
was
that he does not know the real name
back.
of the
Did you
suspect.
girl up, jokingly?
The detectives
And
pull
he's
out
like,
mugshots
oh yeah,
that
I'm
match
afraid
Keith's
actually.
physical
And he
description.
gave me this and then like a sparkling wine.
If their witness can pick out a suspect, the mystery of Keith's identity will be solved.
This is going to be our lineup. Our 6 black males. We have some
Ellie paid for my fridge?
idea of who Teeth could possibly be. And then we'll put what we believe to be Teeth in the lineup. Hopefully it works out for us. See you later now. What's the matter?
Actually, what's wrong? Baffling.
6 hours
Did
of
you see that pop that they sent you?
all they know
I
about
did
their
really
killer
good ones with
is
Walter.
his nickname.
You would love that, right?
We're going to call a night. Get up early in the morning and start over again. And drop Mike by his house. My little girl's over his little girl's birthday sleepover that he missed. It's over, and then we're getting ready to go get some pizza, see a movie, and got called out on this
Also,
homicide.
remember that message I got with that guy that was like, open relationship? He sent me a text back. I didn't respond to
When you're
anything.
looking at a lot of evil throughout the night, throughout the daytime, you look at something that's
like
pure
6 p.m.
and nice, and that really comforts you when you walk in the door.
Or messaged me. I was like, oh my
It's
god,
good
I'm
to,
so sorry.
they see her before, tomorrow gets here. They play together all the time. It's nice to come home, and these are when, this is why you run out of work every day. All right, guys, go back to bed now. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay. We're going to have to do a lot of hunting in the morning for people that are even closely or remotely associated to this suspect in order to get his real identifiers.
Captain John Cosgrove's team found 33-year-old Ramon Martinez brutally murdered behind the Cleveland bar. Their suspect, Pedro, is nowhere to be found. Their only lead to finding him is his employer, an alleged drug dealer named Papito.
Pedro was here last night with at the place, and he was telling them that he works for you.
He came in for a few days, he said.
And he just come in off the street, just came in and said, hey.
Papito employed both the victim and suspect. Cosgrove believes he knows how to find Pedro.
I can try to help you today. Give me your number, I call you. In that way, I can help you.
If you can, as quickly as you can.
Working on it now.
Okay?
Very nice.
I appreciate it.
I want to help with this case.
We're going to give Papito a little bit of time. He's not being straightforward to us, so we really don't want to rely on him. We'd rather go out and find this stuff on our own, but we'll give him a little bit of time.
Cosgrove checks out the address from Ramon's driver's license.
Maybe it's the hospital.
Inside the apartment is the victim's wife.
Ask her when the last time she's talked with Ramon.
How many times they call?
Yesterday. Does she know a guy named Pedro? Bueno. How does she know Pedro?
He used to live with them in Texas.
According to his wife, the victim Ramon and suspect Pedro were close friends.
Tell them that Ramon was beaten.
Eso sí, anoche pelearon. Y Ramón estaba golpeado.
Passed away.
Y de eso se murió su esposo en la mañana. Ramón también se murió. She wants to work here.
Even without a
That's my baby.
issue, it's still, whenever you make notifications, it's difficult. Hello.
Cosgrove gets a call from Detective Bobby Lane.
Ron's brother, the victim's going to be at the junkyard. 10 minutes.
Pino says that he's found the victim or his brother. Maybe he'll be able to shed some light on this Pedro guy. His brother last night was at a bar called the Coyote Bar. Whoever he had a fight with, the guy beat him up real bad, and his brother passed away.
When did we get to talk to Zelda?
I don't want to bother him right now and stuff, but does he know how we can find Pedro and talk to him? I'm Pedro.
Say that he's from Pedro.
Can he take us or show us where that's at?
The brothers will lead Cosgrove's team to Pedro's house.
We'll meet you. We're going to follow you. Okay? He says he knows the apartment. You can drive by and say, yep, that's the apartment right there, and it's apartment, that one on the top right's there, or whatever the case is. He can point us in the right direction. You know what apartment he's in? If somebody can just watch, make sure this guy, just kind of keep him back here for a minute.
In their investigation of Michael Cotton's murder, detectives Greg Lawson and Mike York have a street name for their suspect, Teeth. But they still don't know his real name or where they can find him.
We're about 18 hours into the investigation. It's really important in the first, 48 hours to get someone to give you some kind of a lead that's going to put you on the right line of the suspect. The crux of the matter is going to be finding out who exactly this Teeth is.
Lawson follows up on a tip from a confidential informant who claims she knows how to find Teeth.
One of the officers on the street came across a female last night that had information concerning this homicide, we believe. She wouldn't give the officer her name, but would give her phone number. She would. Two specific detectives have called her, Galupski or Sigler. Greg's gonna call her anyway.
Okay, ma'am, this is the thing. Galupski went home at 3 a.m. this morning. I worked with him until the late night hours of last night, and I was hoping that I could maybe contact you here and find out primarily what you had to say here. I'm doing my best to get a hold of it, but I just didn't want you to think nobody was calling you back. Just help me to understand exactly what it is you have to offer here so I can, kind of speed this process up. Hey, Ken Galupski. I mean, do you know who did this thing?
Got a gal that wants to talk to you about this homicide.
I mean, do you know the person's name?
She has information on this homicide on Alloc, and Greg's talking to her right now. Hold on, Ken.
Hey, Roger. Hey, Greg. Hey, I'm going to put you on speakerphone here. She says that she'll talk to York and I, but she just wants you to tell her it's okay. All right, hold on. Here he is. You there? Go ahead, Roger.
Hey, you just want to talk to the guy?
The informant agrees to speak directly with Lawson.
Yeah, she said that's fine. That she'll talk to us, and you said it's okay.
Okay, fine.
She claims she knows the house where Teeth is staying.
All right, that's fine.
All right. I wish I could end
Good now. Hopefully I'll pan out. Let's roll.
After 17 hours, they finally have a lead. The suspect.
We're going to drive by the address that this person is identified, drop it in the computer, see if we can reference a male party's name, pull up a picture in our mugshot system, and after that, be able to show that picture to witnesses and hopefully we get a positive identification.
It's going to be a white Ford Taurus parked on flats.
All right, the suspect house. That's it right there.
Ford Taurus is on flats.
If somebody was out there to spot this, somebody's
pulls up behind him.
Get out as soon as I want him.
It's another confidential information. He has recognized Lawson's car as the police vehicle.
Not a cab, no. Well, let's pull down the street. Pull off the main path. This person just flagged us down. We're aware that the suspect committed a homicide last night. How do you know it? What do you mean?
The informant claims he knows real people. Wayne Roberson finally identifies the suspect. Lawson in York focuses
How's that case?
down.
I know you hate it. It was just a burner case, like you said. I figured it would make you feel
They quickly find Wayne Roberson and his sister.
There he is. Yes. This could be our guy. You should see his picture and his criminal history. It's going to help us go in the direction on actually finding him.
We should call him Robert Downey Jr. now. He's not an Iron Man. Or call him Captain America.
He's definitely had contact.
Babyface America. This was that one thing I was telling you about. It's good. So far, so good.
Shut up, Pepe.
Oh my god, it's over. Fuck my.
It's over.
What? I'm so confused. The season's over. The season's over until August 10th? No. Season 35 episode. What the fuck am I supposed to do with my life? It's rerun season.
Line up, Greg. He's definitely had contact with the police. He's very, very dangerous. This is a hunt, and we have to get him quickly.
In the murder investigation of Ramon Martinez, Captain John Cosmo and his team have found their suspect Pedro's home.
Has he seen his brother Pedro?
The suspect's brother, Jose, claims he hasn't seen Pedro since yesterday.
Has he talked to him on the phone yet? No hablo con él. Does he have a picture of him? Un retrato. ¿Retrato? Sí. If you were talking to someone for 10 minutes and they don't ever ask you why you're talking to them, they know why they're talking to them. He hasn't guessed why he was looking for my brother. Why do you want my brother? The natural response of anybody, you, me, anybody here would be, why do you need police?
Cosmo finally has a picture of the suspect, 18-year-old Pedro Munoz.
We'll try to figure out. Yeah, good. Probably had to go sell it so he can get him some money to get him a bus. Is this only his room? Where are the TVs?
There's a TV missing out of the other room, too. 3 TVs are gone all of a sudden, and if Pedro needed money, he comes back, he's loaning those TVs to somebody to get some money so he can get out of town.
Okay, why don't we go have him sit in the couch and talk? Ask him again where the televisions are.
¿Cuánto la televisión es?
La televisión se le prestó a una amiga de mi esposa. Ya le dije.
Unless Cosgrove and his team can get the truth from Jose, they have little hope of finding their suspect.
If we prove that he has aided his brother in his nuts, he is going to be in as much trouble as his brother.
Captain John Cosgrove and his team have found the home of Pedro Munoz, the main suspect in his friend Ramon's murder. But with Pedro on the run, the suspect's brother is refusing to tell them where his head is.
Now he's choosing his brother over his wife.
Tell him to stand up, put his hands behind his back for me.
Señor, ¿me puedes parar, por favor, y pon tus manos atrás?
Want to tell your baby bye? You ain't gonna see him for a while.
We are looking for Pedro.
Detective Keith Wright turns his attention to Jose's wife.
Does she know where Pedro's at?
No.
What does she know about Pedro talking to Jose about getting into a fight?
Yo no sé que estaban peleando.
I know that they were fighting. So that he killed them.
Está muerto.
And he's dead.
So Jose told you that Pedro got in a fight and killed him. What do you think Pedro's at now? Where do you think he's at or going?
The wife has now confirmed that Pedro called his brother, Jose, and admitted that he killed Ramon, and that he needs help and he needs some money.
Jose's wife says Pedro came home after the murder, packed his bags, and left.
Jose talks great, Jose doesn't.
Because Rickman did the whole like, as soon as I got home, and I sat on the couch and came downstairs and was like,
There's a rumor
I'm
going
moving
around
on and told me all that shit, and I was like, cool.
Your stint in homicide is 1 to 2 years maximum.
Then I was like, Rickman, shut the fuck up. And he's like, I already let him out and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's why he's so fucking annoying, because he thinks that he could play me.
What have you been doing?
And that's all like, sat there, and then I was like,
I'm going to miss the job,
if
miss the
y'all don't
excitement,
want
miss
him, like,
the thrill
if
to
y'all want to get rid of him,
outside playing.
please, like, just call me.
However, they get to
And I
my
was like,
family more.
That's literally what I said.
Yeah, I'll be home. I'm not sure what time
he
it
was
is.
like, but like, if Toby ever says the words, like, just call me. I'll take that dog off your hands. And I was like,
Ask me if you need to be home, baby. I don't want to miss out.
It was just a weird thing to say.
Detectives still need to find out where Pedro's going.
Right? Your girlfriend has 2 dogs.
Pedro no te dijo
Leave
que
your shit out and just like take care of them. I saw his car there too. I was really expecting all this shit to
Confronted
be
with
out.
his wife's testimony, the suspect's brother admits that he may know where Pedro is headed.
He thinks his brother probably is headed toward
¿Piensas que su hermano ahí está yendo a México?
Is it clean? Really? He said he spent all day yesterday cleaning it.
Satisfied that he's gotten the
It wasn't clean at all.
Cosgrove releases Jose.
He's such a fucking liar.
First thing in the morning when you get here, we'll get with
I could tell based on the way he was wording it, he was like, yeah, so I'm like, doing all of my laundry today, every single thing out, and then
Cosgrove has what it needs to charge
it's just
Pedro.
weird. Like, as soon as I got home, I heard the laundry go, and I heard him walking around for a second. He comes downstairs, puts his shit in the dryer, and tells me I'm shit, and then he goes upstairs and does it in the dryer.
looks like cat food. Actually smells like cat food. Right now we have a suspect identified.
We need to go deposit
long,
that money
long
so
way
we can
from
pay rent.
this morning.
Is he gonna move in? That's what I'm
We have a
saying.
great foundation. Oh, wait till tomorrow. I won't know then, I'm dead.
In their investigation of Michael Cotton's murder, detectives Greg Lawson and Mike York have found out their suspect's real name, but They still need to confirm Dwayne Roberson is the killer their witness saw at the crime scene.
Hey, Stefan. Come down to the bureau, man. I need to talk to you right away.
York calls their witness, Stefan.
All right, man. I appreciate your help, Stefan. Thanks, buddy. It's a great thing when you finally get to this point. You know, I mean, it was a long road. We, stayed up all night long, trying to get this guy identified. Okay, we have Stefan in the waiting room, and that's the fellow that was actually at the house. That's an eyewitness to the shooting. So as soon as we get his ID, we're going to be able to get a warrant for sure. Hey, Stefan, come on out here for a second. I'm going to take you away from your friends. What person you recognize as the one who confronted your friend, pulled a gun, and would later shoot him?
Number 3 on the top row.
All right. Are you sure of that?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Okay. Would you circle the picture that you believe to be the suspect who shot your friend? Okay, would you circle the picture from top to bottom? A big circle, my friend. All right. I told you to circle it. You just followed instructions perfectly. All right. That'll be it.
41 hours in, their hunt for Dwayne Roberson, a.k.a. Teeth, can begin.
You got a second? Can you tell me you guys find something?
They canvass Teeth's neighborhood, hoping to find a lead on his whereabouts.
Greg, God just called me.
As the first 48 nears its end, they finally get a tip.
It says that she saw a car pull up at the Alice address. Saw some guys get out, go into the house. So there's a bunch of cars out there. All right, well, let's load up and we'll head out there, too.
Teeth has been spotted in his neighborhood riding in a green car.
What's the unit in the area? Standing by for 35 now.
We're just going to pull up to the house. Michael Car that unit. Looking for a Dwayne Roberson, 6 foot tall.
You can't find anything on the Roberson subject.
No, gracias.
Yeah, there they are.
Los York's car.
We come up the street and we see a vehicle. This car has the same characteristics as the ones we know to be related to the suspect's vehicle. Okay, this green car is coming at you right now. You can see us. We're right behind it.
It pulls into Teeth's last known address.
All right, 1022 on that. Let's go up there.
The suspect's girlfriend is driving.
Okay, all right. Is anybody over here? Is he here?
But Teeth's not in the car.
Is Dwayne in there? Hey, no. Who lives here? Do you own him? Who's in the house? Is there anybody in this house?
No, this door right here in the side door. Hey, I ain't messed with him in a month.
Carla, he was just over here.
I ain't even been here since
All right,
yesterday when I got off from work.
Stop it. All right, we know he's inside at some point in time within the last 24 hours. If he's inside and you're not being honest with us, you'd be held responsible if somebody gets shot in there because you're lying and obstructing a homicide investigation.
Police department, anybody in about spot right now? Police!
Detectives Greg Lawson and Mike York have ID'd Dwayne Roberson, a.k.a. Teeth, as the main suspect in Michael Cotton's murder. As the first 48 winds down, they may have their suspect cornered.
Good deal.
You need another beer?
You know, I like it here.
But he has disappeared.
My lover? See?
Teeth left no clues to where he was going.
He left last night. His people, they packed up their clothes. See, all the closets are empty and stuff like that.
I don't know.
As the clock runs out, Teeth is still at large.
Shut up.
In the first 48, York and Lawson found Mike Cotton executed in his home. They quickly learned the shooter's street name is Teeth. A confidential informant tells them Teeth is 24-year-old Dwayne Roberson. They raid his house, but Teeth is nowhere to be found. Sure. 5 days later, York gets a tip that Teeth is staying in an apartment complex nearby.
All right, I know this guy you're talking about. All right, man, thanks for your information.
Your apartment 8.
Once again, Teeth is one step ahead of them.
He called before he came. It's very frustrating. You feel like there's some light at the end of the tunnel here. You may be getting some momentum, and all of a sudden the box falls out, and again, you just got to start over.
In the weeks that follow, the search for Teeth widens.
We're going to go to any lengths to apprehend him. Hello? Hey, Dave, what are you doing?
More than 2 months after Michael Cotton's murder, Lawson gets a call from a sheriff's office in Columbia, Missouri.
So you got him. All right, we're on our way. They got him.
Columbia deputies found Roberson riding in a friend's car.
They got up around the car. He denies that he's Dwayne Roberson, but they hold the picture right up there to his face, and it's confirmed. And he says, "Yeah, I'm Roberson." So he's on ice waiting for us. Right away, Columbia, Missouri. They have Dwayne Roberson in custody. Our hope is that we can kind of get some clarity on exactly what happened inside that house. He's been on the run, so he's obviously afraid of coming forward and giving us his story, and there's got to be some reasons for that.
To close the case, Lawson needs Teeth to confess.
The reason why we're in here is since it happened KCK. Something must have went up.
I think there was too many people, too much wet, KCK wet. Stuff like crazy. I wouldn't kill nobody, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, you know what?
I'm too scared to kill somebody, seriously.
I believe you killed somebody, but I don't believe you're killed. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that.
No, he wasn't trying to do it. He was taking the line to me.
Dwayne, I don't think you're lying to me. I know you're lying to me. Your better avenue is explaining why you killed him. And you know what? It's obvious the reason why you killed him. I was f***ed up on PCP. I'm telling you, man, don't be in denial all the way up to the 11th hour here. You look like a monster. You can't be scared anymore. You got to face up to your fears. You got to say, I made a mistake. I shot my friend.
I killed my friend. I don't try to. He pulled out 9/11.
Mike did?
Yeah, he tossed me on the bed. And in the process of that, the gun went.
Lawson gets Dwayne Roberson to admit that he was the shooter.
There's some of the things he's saying that's not fitting absolutely with the physical evidence that we found on the scene. However, that's going to be for a jury and a judge to decide exactly how honest he's being. I think we're getting some of the truth. I don't think we're getting quite all of the truth. I feel good. It's always nice to have closure on one of these things. The family can finally get some relief to know that the person that, actually did this to their loved one is going to go to jail. And, that gives you a very, very large sense of satisfaction that, someone's comforted by your actions.
In the investigation of Ramon Martinez's murder, Captain John Cosgrove and his team have learned that the victim's friend, Pedro, confessed to his family and fled south towards Mexico.
Who is it? Is that voice now? Check it. I'm worried that it's frozen.
It's morning at the Cosgrove house.
We're very lucky we have some land. We have a lot of privacy. I like animals a lot. I've always liked animals a lot. One of the things I wanted to do was either be a policeman or a veterinarian. Policeman seemed a lot easier than veterinarian when you're working late like last night. We were coming back in the morning time and spend a little bit of time with my kids. Makes it worthwhile. We go through the barn. Sometimes skills tip one way and I work way too much. And I neglect quality time at home. Gotta get the goat out. His name's Handsome. If I didn't have my family come home too, and this would be very difficult. Well, I get like phone call and page. Hello. Yep, All right.
You have to go to work.
Yeah. There are sacrifices, but absence makes the heart grow fonder because they obviously really cherish the time that we do have together. Right now, we're just pulling up over at the district attorney's office. We're going to get the warrant secured on Pedro.
Well, I got a call from this number.
With warrant in hand,
Yeah.
Cosgrove's team can cast a net to catch Pedro before he slips across the border.
We need
What's up?
to get done today. Bobby, you going to work with INS? Scott, why don't you get with your brother at the FAU? This is Pedro. It's his picture. Pass it around. Alex and Bill, why don't you guys hit the bus lines and get intercepted down in Texas?
Sarah just got home. Just give us a second.
Where are you at?
Are you having pretty good luck with them working with us?
By the house?
Here, let's take a text.
Off of 71.
As the first 48 runs out, they've done everything they can to find Ramon Martinez's suspected killer. All they can do is wait. In the first 48, Cosgrove and his team found 33-year-old Ramon Martinez dead, beaten with a cinder block. They learned the victim was last seen with his friend Pedro. After questioning Pedro's family, they discovered he confessed to the murder and fled to Mexico. 3 days after the murder, Cosgrove visits Ramon's widow.
Give us some information about what she's heard about Pedro, where he's at.
¿Qué has oído de Pedro? ¿Y dónde está?
Shit.
Mi cuñado me dijo que estaba en Playa Azul, but it's in Veracruz, the same state. That's where the suspect's parents live.
Somebody there.
What's up?
She wanted to know if we got a picture of him.
She has a picture of Pedro?
Ramon's mother sent an old picture of Pedro, her son's suspected killer.
That's Ramon's mother.
Yeah, I got it. Right just back up.
So that's Pedro with the victims.
He left his phone at his house.
Can you explain what
So he's stranded right now.
She has a rosary with flowers.
So he needs a ride.
She's really not going to have
I got it.
She's going to hear her stories, and that's all she's going to hear. And that's really sad.
Let's all experience something together. This beer is so pure you can taste it. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Beer in its organic form.
For homicide detectives, the clock starts ticking the moment they are called.
He's not going to open that door for anyone.
He shoots him right in the neck. The guy drops.
Man's trying to make a living. Waste of life.
Their chance of solving a murder is cut in half
Now we're working a murder and we're working a hurricane.
if they don't get a lead.
They were sitting on those crates. I guarantee it.
Within the first 48 hours.
It's here. There he is.
Possible 31 offender.
Go, Papa, go, go!
Floridians are now bracing themselves for what might be the fourth hurricane this season. Hurricane Gene is presently east of the Bahamas and is projected to hit between Miami and Florida City within the next 2 days. Gene has left significant destruction.
No, gotta be kidding me. Throwing dead. This is not happening.
Homicide Sergeant Joe Shalacy is up early preparing his house for Hurricane Gene.
It's been an incredible last 3 or 4 months. We've already experienced 3 major hurricanes in the state. I've been here 37 years, and I have never, ever been through anything like this before.
Across town, from the Upper East Side neighborhood of Miami, 911 receives a call. When police respond, they find the owner of the lounge dead.
Hello? You're kidding, right? Okay, where's it at? We're en route to the Take One Lounge, which is a nightclub for exotic dancers. Fire rescue had to make a forced entrance. The front door was locked, and then when they went inside, they found the owner deceased.
Detective Olga Rome, a key member of Sergeant Shalacy's squad, also heads to the crime scene.
Strip club. This will be a first. It's showtime at the Take One.
The call comes in at 7-11.
Report to my MDC.
Right now, we have deceased as being Mr. Robert Raley, a very well-known and a very well-established business owner in our community.
73-year-old Robert Raley owned and operated the Take One Lounge for the last 37 years. Raley was well known and liked by everyone in the neighborhood.
Never used to. Looks like he was shot one time in the left side of his neck.
So far, we don't know if he was surprised or if he opened the door.
The deadbolts were probably not on. It looks like their motive was robbery because there's jewelry on the ground. They got into some type of struggle maybe, and the victim was shot.
Next to the body, a .22 caliber semi-automatic gun.
There's no bullets in the magazine.
The gun is empty.
The wound to the victim's neck does not correspond to the wound that the .22 caliber pistol would create.
Raley was licensed to carry a .38 caliber revolver that he usually kept in his holster, which is now missing from the crime scene.
The bullet entry actually fits the description of a .38 that he purchased not too long ago. So what we're thinking was that they scuffled, they took the gun away from him, and they shot twice in the gun. It looks like robbery gone back.
They panicked, took off. They dropped him along the way.
These guys are amateurs.
It just looks like it's nervous. The scene looks like it's a nervous scene. That's it. No answers, not now anyways, but we're gonna find it. We're gonna find it.
Better be buying it. We're gonna be scared.
We're gonna find it.
The managers of the club, James Wright and his brother Martin, are stunned to learn of their boss's death.
It's very clear to you guys, being the managers, and knowing him as well as you do, that he just That's very key. It gives us a pretty good time to this happen.
Just arrived. According to the managers, Rayleigh would arrive at the club before dawn to count the money from the previous day.
I'm telling you, he's not going to open that door for anyone. I own you the man. He won't open that door for anyone. Oh, man, my mind is on.
James, listen to me. Listen to me. You gotta calm down. I need you. You understand me? I need your help. We'll go through this together, right? Listen,
James reveals that Rayleigh bought the missing 38 caliber gun for protection after a recent robbery.
We got robbed. We got robbed a couple weeks ago. We just bought a whole new camera system. Just for that.
The video's brand new.
Yeah, we just put it in. I have to show you how it works. No matter what, they record.
We still don't know how the killers ambushed Mr. Rayleigh. The video equipment hopefully captures something. We're keeping our fingers crossed.
No, there's no school in session right now.
So when you get close to the time, could you tell us?
At 6:54 a.m., Rayleigh drives up to the front door of the club. As soon as Rayleigh's car stops, a figure emerges from behind a dumpster at the side of the club.
Where is it?
Here you go, right there.
And heads towards the car.
Here's the other one.
Moments later, another suspect steps out from behind the dumpster. And then a third suspect from the back of the building.
There he goes. Here's the other one.
Oh,
As Rayleigh opens the door,
somebody just ran in. They ran in.
Right there. And grab the door.
They grab the door here midsection. They grab the door right here. Helpless thing watching this. Know what there's a bad thing.
Can I get away with this for that word?
There's not a damn thing I can do about it.
Let's see how bad my hurt is.
1 minute later, the three suspects flee the club, leaving behind Rayleigh to die.
Aw, no.
By the gods, Ito, is that you? You're bald, my friend.
When was the last time? Not block.
That job, remember? We ended
Oh, yeah, you should, because he fucking knocked me out.
Right next to the corner of that dumpster.
Why the fuck is he doing this shit? And then for me to sound all cocky yesterday and be like, yeah, I'm gonna be out, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry, I do have some mail coming, so if it's cool, hold it for me, and then let me know when I can get it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's like, you don't need to fucking act all arrogant and be like, I'm out tomorrow, I'm not right here, if you're not gonna fucking do it.
Some Malacca's commander came in here demanding I fix this fucking thing. When I couldn't, he said I was obligated to provide a new one. And the way he wanted was killing the I'll get Arby back for you. Don't do anything stupid.
If it wasn't so much, then I would say
That's why I'm afraid.
He's gonna move straight today, so I will
Tell me where to find the commander.
He's here.
shoot the garage.
At Port Fight.
Why so much trouble for an old sword?
She's the only thing I love that never left.
And how will I know?
Stay and girlfriends, please. I swear to God, if they fucking try and come over tonight and shoot you, I'll say something. I will.
And when you swung down, she'd sing a siren song of death. Kept me alive through many a scrape.
That I do remember.
It sounds like you've been married a very, very long time.
I should be going.
Remember, you don't want trouble. Just sneak in and take it. You're still good, right?
I won't lower myself to answer that.
Cassandra, by the gods.
The only thing that I care about right now is your family and solving this case. That's the only thing that's going through my mind. Wow, that's tough. For them, he was everything. So I have to pull back all those emotions, put it aside, and say, okay, listen, breathe, think. These are some guys that just committed a very, very violent act. And they need to be found. They need to be found.
Ultra pure gold. Beer in its organic form.
There are 3 words that mean everything when you live with migraine. I am here. Aim to say that more with Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults that reduces the number of monthly migraine days. For some, that number can be cut in half or more. Don't take Aimovig if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or swelling can happen hours to days after use. Common side effects include injection site reactions and constipation. Aim to be there more. Talk to your doctor about Aimovig.
I switched to Geico and saved hundreds. That's a win. But it's not the only reason I switched. Geico's a company I can trust. With over 75 years of history. That's a win-win.
Before he did it, he like write your number down.
With Hurricane Jean only a day away, Miami Homicide Sergeant Joe Scalise and Detective Omar Barone are in a race to identify the 3 suspects in the murder of Robert Raymond, who was shot to death with his own gun in the Take One Lounge. 6 a.m. After only a few hours of sleep, Scalise and Rome are back to work.
The victims' names belong on a proper headstone in the cemetery.
I'm just curious why he wouldn't keep like 3 hands to
This is my mother. This was my best friend. And my mom passed in October 1994. She takes all the madness away. She straightens everything out. When I'm stressed out, I look at her. And she tells me to do this. Put your big girl panties on and deal with it. Oh, my goodness.
My kids like to call me a clean freak. I'm not a clean freak. I just like to be a little organized when it comes to my home and my desk. But it's not like I think they call it OCD. It's nothing like that. It's just a matter of being clean and neat, your environment. You know, as a reflection of you. You know, touch my desk and every time I'm on the body.
Who was there?
Oh, boy.
I'm going to cut your heart out and I'm going to feed it to my cats. It's simple as that. I'm sure they'll love it.
My whole team got issues. They always got to do
We got
something.
Exactly. Why is she such a slut?
You check over there and I'll stay over here. I don't want to miss nobody.
Shalacy's squad takes the investigation back to the neighborhood around the crime scene.
That you're upset about? I bet she's
Canvassing the area for anybody that may be around that might have seen the suspect flee this way.
See anybody running or anything? No. So by the time he came out, people already knocking on the door over there.
Every morning.
I can get you to check on the ground.
Well, yeah, we left Jacob went over there and he was hanging out with me. Drew was like, oh, I'm looking. I guess Jacob went by Drew's house. Said that Carlos left his phone in the back of the car. So Drew went over to the roommate's house and was just like, hey, very close. Maybe that's why. Maybe the roommate walked in and was like, hey, what's up? And I said he didn't know how to know.
This must be Fort Filey. If Victor's right, I'll find the sword inside.
As fine a blade as ever I've seen. Got it from
Will you take me over your Kroger stuff?
yeah, restricted in making.
Like,
He can knock it
show
down.
that I exist?
That's
Just like to the neighborhood?
Pablo Keelan?
Yeah.
I pretty much really like went out, but yeah,
You've gone out with her 3 times now.
went out.
3 times. 3 times.
No.
Remember? You said you went out with them for drinks at Cedar Door. You said you went out with them for Penny Lane, and then you also said they were with you downtown. And you were like, sorry, I couldn't get a hold of you, so we're just out here with the new people having drinks.
Maybe twice then, but the one time that
But
they
still.
they were never there.
They think of me as like the girlfriend they got on a break with.
What's that?
Yeah. That's true. You know, I heard a lot about you. You're actually really cool. I need that cool feeling. Yeah, they don't have new girls in your life today. So they're gonna try and help you. I don't know anything about that story. You have been. You've hung out with her twice now without me.
Not in Caitlin hanging out.
I know, you're hanging out with other people, but that doesn't stop you. That's how. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm asking you to like do what you used to do and like show me off to your coworkers that I haven't seen. So I'm not known as the bitchy girlfriend that's here. I would rather be a part of it.
Good?
Yeah, I think it's,
So it's already walking outside. So we're walking outside, we might as well leave.
okay. I wasn't trying to rush you.
No, I'm good.